Welcome back.
To Marriage Beyond the Veil. Well, I was thinking today, based on the stereotypes
You said stereotypes.
mhm,
Okay.
of our parents' generation,
Okay.
things that were expected or assumed, versus now when you look at like John's generation in a marriage, what are some of the things that you see that are very, very different?
Well, with that generation, when we talk about our parents' generation,
Mm-hmm.
there was a level of commitment
Mm-hmm.
that surpassed anything.
Okay.
I mean, it didn't matter what occurred, what didn't occur.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to be committed and endured a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when there is illness, um, whether the marriage had been contentious or not,
Mm-hmm.
at times, I think that generation always stepped up,
Mm-hmm.
and took care of the other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they made major sacrifices, I would say, oftentimes for their families,
Mm-hmm.
um, and not thinking of themselves first.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I mean, um, I think those are some of probably the main things that generation did that you probably don't see. For better or for worse, in a marriage vow really meant something.
Okay.
Till death do us part.
Mm-hmm.
Today it's for better or forget it.
Mm-hmm. But not necessarily those weren't the stereotype things that.
So when you say stereotypes,
Mm-hmm.
what kinds of things are you referring
So like man's hand in the household.
to? Okay.
Um, um, you know, boys had certain chores, girls had different chores.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was a wife's job to cook.
You mean it isn't?
Well, in this house it is, but anyway. So I was, so I was sort of thinking more along those lines of
Okay.
things that were, versus now.
Okay.
And some of the things that I see that's very different is that in a lot of households they don't really there's not really one person that you would say is head of household, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the male. Sometimes the female takes the lead or has the more.
Well, you have a lot more single households now too.
Yeah, that is
So,
true. Mm-hmm.
if you know there's a woman without a husband, of
Mm-hmm.
course she's going to be the head.
Yeah, but that's.
I mean, because I think that we got to a place where a lot of women have kind of like, I really don't need a man. And I
Right.
can do everything I want myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, there are a lot of situations where people aren't getting married, so that's not even an issue about head of household.
Mm-hmm.
You had yours, I had mine.
Well, when I was growing up, and especially in my house, my mom, she definitely took care of the kitchen and she cooked, and my dad would cook sometimes, but that really wasn't anything he did. But he always mowed the lawn.
Right.
She liked to work out in the yard. Um, we were all girl household, so we mowed the lawn too, as well. And when I think of, you know, my mom always wrote the grocery list. She didn't really shop as much because she didn't drive.
Mm-hmm.
But there were just some things that were just expected that a female would take care of,
Right.
and even down to taking care of the kids. And
Mm-hmm.
so now when I look at a lot of these young families, um, the roles are very, I would guess, say intertwined. And there isn't like any one.
It's much more just, I guess, fluid.
Yeah, and I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
I think whatever works for a married couple works for a married couple.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that there's necessarily um, a right way or a wrong way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the right way for you is the right way for you. You know, if your marriage works where there are designated roles, responsibilities, obligations, great. If your marriage is such that uh, everything is blended, you fly by the sea, whatever works. I think at the end of the day is what's going to allow the relationship to be one that is healthy, one that is enjoyable. So that's what I think.
Okay, well, I agree with you 100%. Pretty much. I think it's also very
Because it's a
fluid.
wife's duty to agree with her husband.
And then there it goes. However,
Until tomorrow.
I love seeing it.
If the Lord says the same.